do we need to follow a madhab or just do research ourselves about Islam in Quran and Sunnah? This is a very important question. It's a very sensitive question and a very critical question. The question posed by Zulfikar Ali is that do we have to follow a madhab, a particular school of thought? Or can we do research ourselves and just follow the Quran and Sunnah? As times are changing, the technology is changing, the way people communicate, the way people interact, everything is changing. If you'd have asked this question maybe a century before or 100, 200 years before, the answer would have been different, and now it is different. Previously, maybe you could classify the Muslim Ummah, according to me, into 4 categories. The first category is people who are namesake Muslims, who may not be practicing Muslim, may be knowing very little about Islam or not knowing Islam at all. They are just namesake Muslims. They may not be offering Salah, may be offering Salah only on Jummahs, maybe secular Muslims, etc. The first category. The second category may be practicing Muslims. Second category, those Muslims are practicing Muslims who know the basis of Islam but may not know the fiqh and the school of fiqh and the details. But they know the basics of Islam, they're practicing Muslim, but they may not know the rules and regulation of how deriving is done. They may not be knowledgeable in the field of fiqh, etc. And majority of the Muslim may come into this category, the second category. And the third may be a student of knowledge or a mujtahid, a person who knows about the Islamic ruling and the fiqh and usul fiqh, etc. And the last, in the fourth category, are scholars who are really intellectuals and they know and they're knowledgeable and they're experts in a particular field of Islam. The majority, maybe a century before or before that, fell in the second category. Maybe the second and the third category, the mujtahid, the student of knowledge, or a scholar, may be less than 5%, just a couple of percent. But the majority, the major chunk, maybe more than 80% fell in the second category, and a small percentage maybe in the first category. But today, after science and technology has advanced, the media has advanced, the communication has changed, this is my opinion. I'm not telling any particular person, but according to me, I would divide the Muslim Ummah today into 5 categories. Previously there were 4, now there are 5. In the olden days, maybe a century ago or a few centuries ago, only those people who were mujtahid or student of knowledge or a scholar had the right to decipher, who knew and could take a decision. They need not follow a particular school of thought. So the people who were in the first and the second categories, I would say the safest for them would be they follow one particular madhab. That was the safest. Now, after science and technology advanced, previously the first 2 categories where more than 95% of the Muslims fell, yes, that to choose a madhab and follow it because they could not decipher. Now science and technology has advanced and the communication method has increased. It's very easy, everything on a click of a button. So I would classify, because today, if you want to know whether a hadith is sahih or not, you don't have to be a muhaddis. You go on the Google, you should know methodology. Okay, you go to sunnah.com, find hadith, it will give you the grading, whether it is sahih, whether it's hasan, whether it is daif, whether it's daif jiddan, easy. You don't have to be a mujtahid, and you know that the site is quite authentic. So today, with little knowledge, you can do a great deal of research which you could not do maybe 50 years back or 100 years back. Everything on your fingertips. To know something, you want to know the answer to a question previously, you had to go and find an expert. Today, you just go on the internet and ask Sheikh Google. Sheikh Google. Google, type your question and you get the reply. Here you have to be trained to know which site to go to know whether the answer is right or wrong. So because of the science and technology advancing, communication increasing, and especially the media in the last 1 or 2 decades, the social media has expanded so much. It is, internet, website, Facebook, you have the YouTube, you have the WhatsApp, you have the Instagram, you have the Twitter. Life has changed completely. Communication has changed. It has become a global village. So today, I would classify the Muslim Ummah into 6 categories. This is my own classification. It's not according to any hadith or any Quran. It is my thought, and then I'll come to your answer. It is my understanding because I'm a man of media. I would classify the first category of Muslim, those who are Muslim who have no knowledge or hardly any knowledge. They may be not practicing Muslim, they may be namesake Muslims, maybe offering Salah only on Eid day or maybe on Jummah Salah, not practicing, they are secular or namesake Muslim or just may not know how to offer Salah properly, may not know the rulings, may not know everything what is haram, what is halal. That is the lowest category, first category. The second category of Muslim, who are mashallah practicing Muslim, medium level or high level, but they are not the people who are interested in doing research. They are the people who are not so much savvy with the social media, or they are savvy with social media but they are convinced with just what basic they know, they're happy, and they may not want to do research too much or may just ask a person but may not go in the internet often. So this is the second category of Muslim. They may be practicing, they may be praying 5 times a day, and they may be knowing the basics of Islam or may be knowing part basics of Islam, but they are not the people who are interested in doing research. And these people are mainly the passive people, but they may be practicing, partly or to a great extent. The third category of people are those Muslims who may be practicing, partly or to a great extent, and they are interested in finding out. They go on the social media, they are very media savvy, they want to know directly, they want any question, they go on the Google, they go on the net, they try and find, they go to the Islamic websites, and they do their own research. That is the third category. And today, after science and technology has advanced, the media has advanced, the majority of the Muslims today fall in this third category, who have access, who know where to find the right answers. The fourth category may be those categories maybe who are part-time da'is or maybe interested in convincing Islam to the non-Muslim. They may be part-time da'is, they go on the net, they are more into the field of research. They may not have gone to any Islamic university, they may not have done any course in the Sharia, but because of being very often involved with the social media and conveying the message to non-Muslim, they can be called as da'is and know quite a lot about Islam. That is the fourth category. The fifth category are those who are students of knowledge. They may be bachelors in Islamic studies or masters or PhD, or may not have gone to university but have met scholars, stayed with them, studied Islam, or have studied Islam in their own way. They may be called students of Islam. That is the fifth category. And the sixth category are the scholars. And according to me, the true scholars are very less. The scholar who I call. Today, scholar is a loose word. Anyone who just passes from madrasa is called a scholar. A person who does a bachelor from Islamic university is called a scholar. I don't call these people scholars. I call these people a student of knowledge. A person who's gone to madrasa or an alim or a fazil, or he may have done mufti, he may have done a mufti course. According to me, I call them in category 5. That is, they are student of knowledge. They may be mujtahid, but not scholars. For me, scholar is someone who is unique, who is expert in his field, and who has is well versed with that particular field. And scholar is limited. Like how in the medical field, you have general medicine or general doctor, MBBS. Then you have specialist. Once you become a specialist, then he becomes super specialist. He may be a specialist of heart, a specialist of kidney, specialist of ear, nose, throat, specialist of eye. That specialization. So once he's a specialist of heart, he's not a specialist of brain. So when I say scholar, so a scholar is in one particular field. For example, Sheikh Ahmed Deedat, he was the scholar of Islam and Christianity. I mean, he alone, mashallah, when he was alive a few decades before, he could take the whole of Christianity alone, the whole of Christendom. He was a dai, he was a student of knowledge, but in the field of Islamic Christianity, according to me, he was a scholar. He was only 6th standard pass. He didn't even finish his school, high school. He didn't go to a college. He didn't go to a university, but according to me, he was a scholar of Islamic Christianity. He knew the Bible well. He knew the books of Christianity well. So according to me, he was a dai and a scholar of Islamic Christianity. He may not be a scholar of fiqh. He may not know but of course, he's a student of knowledge where the other aspects of Islam is concerned because they read the books. But scholar in one particular field is Islamic Christianity. So the last category, 6th category, is a scholar, and scholar may be of hadith, muhaddis, he may be a mufassir, tafsir of the Quran, he may be a faqih, he may be a fiqh. Just by doing a degree of fiqh doesn't make you a scholar. It makes you a student of knowledge. So according to me, I would classify the Muslim Ummah into 6 categories. Again, I'm repeating the first category, which are not practicing or namesake Muslims. The second category who may be practicing medium level or high level, but know the basics of Islam, but may not have much knowledge about the usul of fiqh, etc. The third category who like doing research and who keep on going on the internet, and they do research and they know some of the rules, may not know very well, but some things they know, they are not just layman. Then in the fourth category, there may be dais or those who like conveying the message of Islam to others, and they do more research on the internet. They may not be student of knowledge, but they are less than student of knowledge, but they are well versed with many aspects of Islam so that they can speak to non-Muslims, etc. Then the fifth category is the student of knowledge who may have done graduation in an Islamic university or a post-graduation or a PhD, or may not have done but has a level of the usul of fiqh or the usul of tafsir or how to do their level number 5. And the last and the highest level is a scholar. And according to me, there may be few scholars in the world, maybe a couple of thousand, that's it, not into large numbers. Now, regarding your question, should a Muslim just follow any one particular madhab, or should he do research and follow Quran and Sunnah? Now, for a person who's a namesake Muslim or doesn't have knowledge of Islam, for him I would say, you follow one madhab, maybe the madhab of your father or the madhab which you think is right, or madhab of your locality, any one particular madhab, that would be the safest and the best, because you don't have the basic knowledge. Leave aside having the knowledge of usul of fiqh or other things. So for the Muslims who fall in the first category, as well as the second category, for practicing Muslims who know the basics of Islam, who know how to offer salah, everything, but they want to have other knowledge, that what are the rulings and intricate manners, and they're not the people who go on the net, or they don't like that, and they're happy with what knowledge they have, and they ask maybe an alim or a scholar, as the Quran says in Surah Anbiya chapter number 21 verse number 7, and Surah Nahl chapter number 16 verse 43. Fasalu ahli zikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. If you don't know, ask the person knowledgeable. So the second category also, who know the basic knowledge of Islam, but are not so much the people who do research or go on the net very often and like inquisitive. So for them, for the first and second category, I would say that you follow a particular madhab, and whatever the madhab says, you follow, there is no problem. But like in the olden times, the last two categories, that is a student of knowledge or a person who is a mujtahid or a person who is a scholar, they have a right that they can analyze if there's a difference between the two madhab. They can very well go and check the sources, because Allah says in the Quran, in Surah Nisa, chapter number 4, verse number 59, Atiullah, Atiur Rasul, obey Allah and obey the messengers, and those who have been given authority. They're talking about scholars. So the Quran says, obey Allah and obey the messengers, and those who have been given the authorities, and those who are expert in the field. But the verse doesn't end there. The verse continues. But if the people of authority, if they differ, go back to Allah and His Rasul. So if all the scholars unanimously agree that we have to pray 5 times, then you don't have to look for proof. All of them say you should fast the month of Ramadan, no proof required. All of them say you should give zakat, 2.5%, no problem. Now, if there is a difference of opinion between two groups of scholars or two madhab, then the Quran says, go back to Allah and His Rasul. But to go back to Allah and Rasul, you should be qualified. If you're not qualified, then you follow the rule of the Quran of Surah Anbiya chapter 21 verse number 7 and Surah Nahl chapter 16 verse 43. Fas'alu ahli zikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. So for those who are in category 1 and 2, they have to follow ahli zikr. They can follow a madhab. That's it. But those who are ahli zikr themselves, maybe student of knowledge, maybe a mujtahid, maybe a scholar. So the 5th and 6th group, they themselves can decipher. They themselves can do research, and they can find, okay, this particular scholar, he made a human error. We respect him, we love it, but the ruling of the other scholar is better. So he compares between the two scholars and he chooses which is more close to Quran and Sunnah. But naturally, we are talking about reliable scholars, we are talking about authentic scholars, but it is human to err. No human being in the world can say it's 100% perfect except Allah and His Rasul. That's it. We follow Allah and His Rasul blindly. Now, coming to the 3rd and the 4th category, people who are the majority of the Muslims. According to me today, the people who are students of knowledge and the scholars are less than 5%. The majority, I would say, more than 50% of the Muslim Ummah, according to my estimate today, would fall in the 3rd category. And then a percentage in the 4th category, and even in the 1st and 2nd category. So I would say majority would fall in the 3rd category, those who are well versed with the internet savvy, they know social media, they can verify, they can check up. So those people who are in the 3rd and 4th category, they are not ahli zikr, they are not mujtahid, they are not scholars. But what they can do, they can get the fatwas of scholar very easily, which the 1st and 2 categories cannot. So those which fall in the 3rd category and the 4th category, what they can do, if they have a query, they can Google. They know there are various websites available for fatwa. You can read. They may not be mujtahid, they may not be scholars, but because they are well versed with research in their own way, when they read the answers of 2 different groups and the reasoning, they can come to their own conclusion. But naturally, the people in the category 4, it's more easy for them to come to a conclusion. It is more difficult for category 3. So I would say 100% for those who are in category 1 and 2, those who are namesake Muslims, less practicing, and those who are practicing and are not involved in research, surely they should follow a madhab. They cannot Quran Sunnah because they are not well versed with research, they don't know how to do. They should follow one particular madhab and stick to it. That's the best for them. For the people of category 5 and 6, out of the question they ahli zikr, they can do research. They follow Surah Nisa chapter 4 verse 59, that Atiullah, Atiur Rasul, obey Allah and obey the messenger, and those who have been given the authority. But if the people of authority differ, go back to Allah and His Rasul. So surely category 5 and 6, they should not just blindly follow one particular madhab, because the madhab have been made by the Aimmas and we respect them, we love them all the great Aimmas that were there, the 4 great known Imams. Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Malik, then Imam Shafi, then Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. May Allah have mercy on all of them. And we had many other Imams also. We had many great scholars also after that. What we have to do is that if they differ, the people in the category 5 and 6 have the ability easily to try and find out. And then they can select, irrespective who they select, whether they select scholar 1 or scholar 2, no problem. Because all these scholars which are reliable, they are well-known scholars. If they differ, then there is difference. And it is not, there will not be any difference in any major sin. All of the scholars unanimously agree, all the madhab agree that having alcohol is haram, having drugs is haram, gambling is haram. There is no difference in the major sins or the major faraid. There may be difference in the furui issues or maybe a minor issues. That's not the major issue that will talk about hell and heaven. So, but natural, for the category 5 and 6 out of the question, they can do it themselves. Even category 4, Those who are dais, who are well versed with research, they may not have the capacity, they may not be mujtahid themselves, they may not know completely, but they're well versed, they are aware of certain types of usul, etc. So even for category 4, for sure, they can very well do their research, and if there is difference, then you have to try and find out which is better. For the category 3 people also, most of them I feel they can do the research and they can take the decision which amongst the two scholars they should follow if they differ. For example, when you go to a doctor and a doctor gives you medicine, you just take it. If another doctor comes and says that the medicine the doctor is giving is wrong, then what you do? Then you'll take care. Then you'll go and do research. You'll go on the internet. Normally when you go to a doctor, you take the medicine. Some people have a habit of doing every research. Everything the doctor does, there are few people. But most of them, when they go to a doctor gives medicine, you have it. But imagine if someone comes and tells you, your friend comes and tells you, that doctor said that the medicine that is given is not correct, then you do your research. Even though you're not a medical doctor, you can Google and you can find out and you can decipher yourself. Not that if you're not a medical doctor, you cannot do research. So today, when you're going to a doctor, it's possible that if you know how to use the internet, if you know how to use the media, if you know how to do research, even if you're not a medical doctor, when you do research, you can code better than a doctor. A person who's MBBS doctor, he doesn't know everything about super specialty. You do a research on super specialty, you can talk to him and you can teach him also, even though not a medical doctor. Correct? So this is the age of science and technology. So this is what science and technology has done. And that's the reason that in our organization, we had more than 500 employees, and we had many people who were graduates and postgraduates and PhDs, but other people who were not from the Islamic University, but they were just engineers, they were doctors, they were in the research team, but the research was much better. They will give the reference of the books of Arabic, everything, because now everything is on the internet. And when they give reference, even the people who are graduates and postgraduates from Medina and PhD, they cannot reply. Because this person is very good in research, he knows this stuff very well, he will quote Ibn Taymiyyah, that's it. So, because he is well versed with research, he may not know, he knows the usul, he may not know all the usuls, and even a person who is a graduate, he studies and he forgets. Not that he remembers everything, 100%. If you ask him once he gives his examination, he will not know everything by heart, he has to refresh. So similarly today, because the media has become so easily accessible, what is the usul and things available on the media. So because of that, the difference has become less. So because of today's age of science and technology, today's age of media, I would say that the category 4, 5, 6 should not, if unanimous decisions they follow, if there's a difference, they should do research and try and find out which is closer to Quran and Sunnah. And majority of the people in category 3 also, I would say more than 50% of the Muslims today are in category 3. In this category, I would say that they should, if they follow a madhab and if there's no difference of opinion, no problem, but if there's a difference of opinion, and if someone says that this opinion is not correct because of this particular scholar and he gives the reference, you can very well go on the net and you can try and find out what the pros and cons. Then you have one level of argument that the people say this scholar said this, the reasoning is wrong, and they give argument. Then you have another group of scholars giving the argument to an argument. So depending how well you are in research, you finally come to a conclusion that which of the two groups is more close to Quran and Sunnah. You may not have gone to an Islamic university, but yet you may be able to do better research than a person who's gone to Islamic university if you know how to do research on the net. So that's the reason I would say that today the Muslims who fall in the category 3, 4, 5, 6, they should follow Quran and Sunnah. If there's a difference of opinion amongst the scholars, amongst the Aimmas, they should try and do a little research and try and find out which is more closer to Quran and Sunnah and follow that. This is a very sensitive question. So you have to understand very well that those in category 3, they aren't scholars. They cannot give their own fatwas. Even category 4 people cannot give their own fatwas. What they can do, they can repeat the fatwa. They can go and they can say, okay, this is what was said by Sheikh Nasruddin Albani. This is what was said by Sheikh bin Baz. or this is what was said by so-and-so scholar. That's it. They can say that. They can repeat. They have a right to repeat. They cannot give their own opinion. That is very important. Those in category 3 and 4 should not give their own opinion at all. Even category 5 should abstain. Even if you're a student of knowledge. Let the last category, the topmost category, those who are scholars, they have a right. And Allah also protects them. Because Allah says that if a person is a scholar, and if he gives his opinion, after doing research, he gives his opinion. If his opinion is correct, he gets double sawab. If his opinion is wrong, yet he gets one sawab. But that is only for people of category 1. Maybe some people of category 2, but surely not the people of category 4 or category 5. So those people who are dais should never give their own fatwas at all. Please. So this is a very important point to be noted. That if you fall in category 3 or 4, abstain from giving fatwas, even category 5. What you can say that so-and-so scholar has said this, then you come under the umbrella, you're protected. So if the scholar made a mistake, the mistake goes on the scholar, the sin doesn't come on you. That scholar, because he is a scholar, Allah yet gives him one sawab. You are protected because you are repeating the call of a scholar. You should never make the mistake of giving a fatwa yourself. Always, if it is clear-cut the verse of the Quran, it's hadith, no problem. But giving any issues of fiqh, you should name the scholar. Then you are protected. If the scholar makes a mistake, you don't get the blame. He yet gets one sawab. But you cannot give your own view that I read this and according to my view. Yes, you can say, I agree with scholar number 1, not with scholar number 2. That you can say because you are under the protection of the scholar. So you have to be very careful. And today, unfortunately, you have many Muslims who fall in category 3 and 4. They are dais. They are not qualified. And they start giving their own opinion which no one has ever given before. So you cannot have an opinion which is, if it's something which is unique, depending on science, and if you're a qualified scientist or a qualified medical doctor, that's a different issue. But regarding tafsir, regarding hadith, etc., all the work has been done by thousands of scholars in the past. You cannot come and get a new thing now. Yes, you can refer to scholars, you can analyze it. So my request to the people, to the Muslim Ummah, is that see to it that you don't fall into the trap of giving fatwas or giving your own verdict. Therefore, all answers that you find, unless it is with comparative religion, which is my speciality, or it may be the answer that I give a logical perspective to an answer. The answer is given by a scholar. The scholar may not be able to make it palatable for the Ummah or for the masses. So the role of a da'i is that when he gets the answer from a scholar, he gives this logic to it and makes the answer more palatable. For example, there are many scholars who have written why is riba, that riba is haram. But they may not be able to convince a layman. When I give a lecture on riba, it's haram, I'm able to convince better. I'm not a scholar, but I've sat with scholars of Islamic economics. I've learned from them. I know the usul. And when I give a lecture, because of my convincing power, because of my logic and reasoning, there are hundreds of thousands and millions of Muslims who have stopped dealing with the conventional bank. Alhamdulillah. But I see to it that whatever I say about Islamic finance, it is backed up with the opinion of a scholar. And I had sat a long time with Dr. Hamid Hussain al-Hassan, which according to me he was the father of Islamic banking, and may Allah grant him Jannah, that he expired last year. So my specialty is comparative religion, Islam, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Islam and other religion, and my specialty is talking how to convince an intellectual about the teachings of Islam, how to logically convince them with reason, with science. That's my specialty. Other thing, I'm only a student, and yes, I've sat with scholars in various fields. I'm just a student. So in this case, what I do, I always give the opinion of the scholars, and if the scholars differ, I may do my own way of research and try and find out which is more closer to Quran and Sunnah, and then may lean towards one group of scholars. But as far as the question is concerned, if you are falling in category 1 or 2, follow a madhab, that is the safest and the best. If you fall in category 3, 4 or 5 or 6, I would request you that if the scholars differ, you do a little bit of research and you follow that which is closer to Quran and Sunnah. Hope that answers the question.